He walked out on his wife for his lover, completely unaware his wife was the hidden heir to a billion-dollar empire that owned the firm he worked for, blind to her massive fortune and the revenge she planned. But what she did crushed him and left him devastated in ways he never saw coming. For 3 years, she'd played the role of the struggling artist's wife, living in their modest department while he climbed the corporate ladder at Richardson Global Industries. But the truth was far more explosive than he could have imagined. She was Evelyn Richardson, sole heir to the empire her grandfather built, the very company that employed him as a mid-level manager. But she'd hidden her identity to find real love. He threw it all away for Amanda, his ambitious colleague. But he had no idea the woman he abandoned controlled his entire professional fate. The divorce papers were signed, but what came next would destroy everything he thought he'd gained. Would he survive the systematic dismantling of his new life? Could he comprehend the magnitude of what he'd lost? Would the revenge she planned leave him with anything at all? The rain hammered against the windows of the downtown apartment as Derek Mitchell stood in the living room, suitcase in hand. But his wife Emma sat motionless on the threadbare couch they'd bought at a thrift store 5 years ago. The apartment smelled of the cheap vanilla candles she loved, but he'd grown to hate that scent, associating it with everything he felt he'd outgrown. "I'm done, Emma," Derek said, his voice cold and rehearsed. But Emma's green eyes remained fixed on the half-finished painting on her easel. "I'm leaving you for Amanda. She understands my ambitions. She's going somewhere in life." Emma's brush hovered over the canvas, but she didn't turn around. Her auburn hair fell in waves down her back, but Derek no longer noticed the beauty that had once captivated him. He'd met her at a coffee shop 7 years ago when he was a struggling business school graduate and she was a dreamy art student. But now he was on the fast track at Richardson Global Industries, and she was still painting in their cramped apartment. "Did you hear me?" Derek pressed, but Emma finally set down her brush. "I heard you," she said softly, but there was something in her tone he couldn't quite place. Not sadness, not anger, but something else entirely. "Amanda and I are moving into her condo in the city," Derek continued, but Emma stood up, wiping her hands on her paint-stained jeans. "We're going to build a real life together, not this poverty-level existence." Emma walked to the window, but she didn't look at the rain. Instead, she gazed at the skyline dominated by the Richardson Global Tower, the building where Derek spent 60 hours a week trying to impress executives he'd never met. "When did you stop loving me?" Emma asked. But Derek shifted uncomfortably. "It's not about love, Emma," he said, but the lie tasted bitter even as he spoke it. "It's about building a future. Amanda is a senior analyst. She has connections. She can help me get promoted to VP level. What do you have? Paint under your fingernails and dreams that don't pay bills." Emma turned to face him, but her expression was eerily calm. Her lips curved into the slightest smile, but Derek was too self-absorbed to notice the danger in it. "You're right," Emma said, but her voice carried an edge that made Derek pause. "I don't have much to offer someone as ambitious as you." "Exactly," Derek said, relieved she was making this easier, but he failed to see the calculated strategy behind her acquiescence. "I'll have my lawyer send over the divorce papers. You can keep the apartment and your paintings. I don't want anything from this marriage." "How generous," Emma murmured, but Derek was already heading for the door. He left without looking back, but if he had, he might have seen Emma pull out her phone and dial a number she hadn't called in 3 years. The voice that answered was crisp and professional, but warm with recognition.